6 p.m. here in Cairo. Time for the news bulletin. We start our bulletin with the headlines. Under directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Foreign Minister Abdul Ati holds extensive contacts in the region tensions. 20 Palestinians and Syria state media says Israeli strikes hit mainly Druze Syria city in Suwaida. Welcome back. The news in detail. Under the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Migration and Expatriate Affairs Badr Abdul Ati held high-level contacts to de-escalate the regional tensions. These included conversation within the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, U.S. Presidential Envoy Middle East Tiff Witkoff, and during the discussions, the importance of pursuing peaceful solutions and resumptions of negotiations over Iran's nuclear program were underscored. The discussions also probed efforts to reach a ceasefire agreement in Gaza Strip, with Abdul Ati reaffirming Egypt's rejection of any attempt to alter the demographic composition of the occupied Palestinian territories. 20 people were killed by Israeli forces fire and air strikes in the Gaza Strip on Wednesday, including 9 air seekers. Sources at Nasser Hospital in southern Khan Yunis said that the 9 aid martyrs included several children. Gaza's Civil Defense Agency said Palestinian Foreign Minister Versen Shaheen said that the EU should enforce sanctions on Israel over its violations in Gaza and the West Bank. EU foreign ministers on Tuesday failed to take any action against Israel after the country was found to have breached a cooperation deal between the two sides on human rights grounds. EU policy chief Kaja Kallas said the aim is not to punish Israel. The main is to really improve the situation in Gaza. The United Nations Special Rapporteur for Gaza and the West Bank said Tuesday that it's time for nations around the world to take concrete actions to stop the genocide in Gaza. Francesca Albanese spoke to delegates from 30. The White House said U.S. President Donald Trump will meet with Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani on Wednesday to discuss negotiations over Gaza ceasefire deal. Israeli and Hamas negotiators have been taking part in the latest round of ceasefire talks in Doha since July 6th. Qatar said Tuesday the talks remain in their first phase. The Foreign Ministry said Egypt condemned Israeli aggressive actions against Lebanon and Syria as blatant violations of the international law and U.S. resolutions. The statement asserted the importance of respecting the sovereignty of Lebanon and Syria and their territorial integrity. Egypt said that these Israeli violations would deepen tensions and are main reasons behind instability in both countries and across the region. Syria's health ministry said a series of Israeli strikes targeting the army and defense ministry headquarters in Damascus on Wednesday killed 1 person and wounded 18 others. Israel acknowledged carrying out the attacks to press the Syrian government to withdraw its forces from the country's south. Syrian government forces entered the majority Druze city of Suwaida on Tuesday with the aim of ending deadly clashes between Druze and Bedouin tribes. Clashes have resumed in the southern Druze city of Suwaida early on Wednesday, just hours after a ceasefire was announced. A war monitor said more than 300 people have been killed in days of violence in Suwaida province, more than half of them government forces. Details in the following report.
Clashes between Syrian government troops and local Druze fighters resumed in Syrian southern city of Suwaida earlier on Wednesday, collapsing a ceasefire announced just hours earlier that aimed to put an end to days of deadly sectarian bloodshed. The outbreak of violence in the predominantly Druze province in southern Syria has highlighted frictions among Syria's diverse communities that
Well, Iran's parliament said the country should not resume nuclear negotiations with the United States until preconditions are met. A statement reported on Wednesday by Iranian state media illustrated that when the U.S. used negotiations as a tool to deceive Iran and cover up the sudden military attack by Israel, talks cannot be conducted as before. It added that preconditions must be set and no new negotiations can take place until the fully met. Israel and U.S. launched strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities last month, despite then ongoing Iran-U.S. talks over a nuclear deal. Ukrainian authorities said on Wednesday that Russia have attacked cities across Ukraine overnight with hundreds of drones and missile strikes hitting energy infrastructure and wounding at least 15 people. The attacks targeted Kharkiv and two other cities in different parts of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said that power was cut for 80,000 families in several locations in the Dnipro region. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli today asserted the African businessmen's keen interest in cooperation with the national companies in the implementation of development projects at the countries. Thus, he instructed concerned ministries to step up cooperation with the African side in this regard. Prime Minister made these remarks as he chaired a weekly cabinet meeting on important domestic files, pointing out that the government is currently carrying out presidential directives to food security through increasing self-sufficiency and strategic corps. The meeting also touched on the path of the work to service and development projects and obstacles until their implementation. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli today witnessed the signing of contract to develop and transfer land usage rights at Suez Canal Economic Zone Zain Sukhna Industrial Zone. The contract was signed in New Alamein City and General Authority of the Suez Canal Economic Zone, the main development company, and Egypteda for developing the Suez Canal Economic Zone. The Prime Minister stressed the importance of such a cooperation as helping to accelerate industrial development at the promising Suez Canal Economic Zone, which has potentials, though its return of infrastructure and logistics hub region. Madbouli asserted that the state is keenly interested in boosting partnership between local, foreign, private companies development forward. Egypt's bourse closed lower today amid sell-offs by local and Arab corporations and Arab investors against purchases by foreign corporations and local and foreign investors. The market capital of listed companies lost 16 billion Egyptian pounds, crossing 2.3 trillion pounds amid an average transactions of 53.2 billion pounds. The benchmark index EGX 30 dipped 1.4% above the 33.470 point mark. The equal weighted indices EGX 70 and the EGX 100 fell 0.5% and 0.6% respectively. In the sports, Liverpool are considering a blockbuster 120 million sterling bid for Newcastle striker Alexander Isak, despite the manager's desire to hold on to the Sweden star. British media reported that the Premier League champions are yet to make a formal offer for Isak, as boss Arne Slot looks new forward to the Diego Jota's death. Isak joined Newcastle from Real Sociedad in 2022, emerging as a key player in the team. He scored 23 Premier League goals last season to fire the club. Italy are putting the euphoria of making the knockout stages of the Women's Euros for the. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this we come to the end of the news bulletin. My name is Amal Mukhtar. Thank you for watching.